Sholem soll sein, Shabbat soll sein, Shabbat soll den ganzen Welt. What else do you like in Shabbat? Sholem, 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 Sholem. Soll sein in Sholem. Sholem, 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 Sholem. Soll sein in Sholem. Sholem soll sein, Sholem soll sein, Shabbat soll sein, Shabbat soll den ganzen Welt. So, if I ask you, Ma nishtana alai mikol haleilot, what do you think? Well, but Banishtana, what is different this night from other nights on Shabbos? The rabbi is not here yet. But while he's not here, you know, the cat is not here, the mice make a party. And I have invited to dance in my party another cantor. You have played. You know what? I used to live in Texas, and I have an accent. Okay, this beautiful lady that we have here sitting next to Maury is cantor Sarah, not Sarah, Sarah Allegra, and now is Spider. Yeah, okay, and she's from Boston. Yeah, Boston. She works there in Boston, and she came here to visit her parents with his wife, his husband, Eli, that is there, and especially her mother, that she has got a birthday yesterday, so we are going to sing to her later on. Today is the birthday, so we are going to sing to you a happy birthday. Not yet, yeah, but we are going to do that. So, so Sharon is going to sing with me. So, did you see how God works? I needed the rabbi to talk, don't say to anybody, but I need him to talk less. And God sent me a traffic jam and an accident, and the rabbi is not here. Oy, oy, oy. So that means that if you pray, God listens. Okay. Let's do the broches. Yes, for the candles. All women, please come here. And so Sharon is going to lead with that, and we're going to do something very special, because as I can see, Cantor Sharon will have not the honor to light the candles, but to light the candles without the lighter, because I don't know where. There. So we are not so bad. Okay, so let's have your mother that she's the birthday cake.
The birthday girl.
Rabbi, we were waiting for you.
You got a standing ovation.
Standing ovation, Rabbi.
There you go. See?
Okay.
Okay, we wave our hands over the candles 3 times. We cover our eyes and do the blessing.
Shanu b'mitzvotav, Mitzivanu, mitzivanu, lahadlik ner,
Tzivanu v'tzivanu lehadlik ner. Tzivanu v'tzivanu lehadlik ner. Shel Shabbat.
So always turn to the person next to you, wish them good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Shabbos once again.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Shabbos, 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 Shabbos. Good birthday. Good Shabbos, Mazel tov on the bread. Malachei Hashalom, Malachei
Let us rejoice in our Creator. Page number 15. Lechu neranena.
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, Adonai. Naria, Naria.
Asher nishvati ve'api ihim yevon el menuchati. And the Hatimah, the closing part of the Psalm number 6, is on page 16, is Refu'ahShelemah.
Shamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim,
ישפוט אבל בצדק בעמים באמונתו. There is a beautiful melody on page 18. This is just in the middle of the song that is on that page. And it says, Sambrul Adonai Bechino, that talks that we shall sing to God with the harp, with the trumpet, with all our music, our instrument, and our inner music, yes, to Him. So this is, I was talking with Cantor Sarah, and she said that she liked the South American compositions, and this is one of the South American compositions. I'm not a composition South American, but we are going to sing it, and you are going to write it, probably, okay? Samrul Adonai Bechinor, Bechinor Bekol Zimra, Akatzotzrot Bekol Shofar, Ariu Lifnei Adonai, Iram Hayam Lo, Tevel Veyoshvei Ba. Okay, we will go now to page number 21.
Bravo.
Thank you. 21 and 22, we are going to sing Lechadodi, and Kantosh Sarah is going to pick the music.
So
page 22.
Yaminus noti proximi et Adonai, Darisi al Yadish, Ben Patzit, Ben Nagila, Ben Kadoli, Nikrat Kala, Ben Shama, Ben Kabbalah.
Shabbat,
page 23, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat.
Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Ulehodot l'Adonai, Ulezamer Shimcha Elyon, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Ulezamer Shimcha Elyon, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat.
Let's read responsibly on page 23, the Psalm 92. We start, and I do my best.
A song for Shabbat. It is good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God.
To affirm your love each morning and your faithfulness each night, to the music of the lute and the melody of the harp.
Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation.
How vast your works, Adonai, your design are beyond our records.
The thoughtless cannot comprehend, and the foolish cannot fathom this.
We take words for you and the past, but you conceal the dream forever.
Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish. All the wicked shall crumble. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they will thrive in the courts of our God.
They shall bear fruit even in old age. They shall be fresh with fragrance to proclaim Adonai is just when our rock in the desert of עדותיך נאמנו מאוד, וביתך נא בקודש, אדוני לאורך ימים. I keep going. Please rise. We are going to do the barhub, and I am going to invite Mr. and Mrs. Remax, please, that you are coming here to open the ark.
Curtain is closed. May be seated.
So we're going to do a little parenthesis here. I have to tell you what is going on in my brain in this moment.
No, don't apologize, really.
You know, I was told that Cantor Sarah was going to come today, and I said, wow, somebody who really knows how to sing.
Yeah.
I have to give them this present to the community.
You don't
So well, but I can't. She sings. Like the cantor can't. And the singer sings. So, and she sings so beautiful and say, I am going to give the community this gift. So, we have an hour. How can I do to make the cantor sing more songs if we have always the drasha of the rabbi that is like half of the service? Yes, so I say, what can I do? And then God sends a traffic jam.
Yeah, God will do that.
Yeah, a traffic jam, and the rabbi came late for his drasha. So now the rabbi was going to say some words in the Barhub, and then somebody ran to there.
Yeah.
And the rabbi opens the door, and the rabbi is not here for the drasha. So now is the moment that the rabbi is going to give the drasha. So I have to take from my mind something that will limit the drasha of the rabbi. So
Doorbell.
no, and I'm going to say something that we did with the youth in Texas. People were going to give a donation for each minute less of the drasha of the rabbi. So in this case, I can help two people, yes, and we can have more music, and then we can have a good, how do you say, fundraising to the shoot. So each minute short of your drasha today, this is going to
How much time do I have?
Oh,
No, it's all right. It's fine. We all know the story. I want to thank the Chazanit. You know, that's the wonderful, wonderful thing about our cantor, whom I respect and admire so much. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, I do want to thank the Chazanit, who has vanished into the crowd. Thank you so much. That was very lovely and full of ruach spirit and really nice. Also, I want to thank all you nice people for sharing with us. I understand there's some people still left in the street, but there can't be but one or two. So this is really a wonderful experience. If the fire inspector shows up, we may have a problem. Okay, you can see on the sign it says 64 maximum for this room. How did they come up with that number? 64. I could do a gematria, I suppose. You know, 6 books of the Mishnah and Arba'im Ahot, 4 matriarchs. But the 10, yes, 6 and 4. See, I don't do math. I'm totally verbal. Really, I can barely add. Well, what happens in Va'era? We're only 2 parshiot, 2 Torah portions into Sefer Shemot, the book of Exodus. Exodus is cool. It's not as cool as Genesis. I miss Genesis. I truly do. All those dysfunctional people, it's like a family reunion. But right now it's basically, I mean, God shouldn't punish me, but for the entire book, God and Moses do this Abbott and Costello routine. Who's on Mount Sinai? But it says Elokim nigla et atzmo lil Moshe. God revealed himself to Moses, which is a wonderful thing indeed. I suppose Moshe was the chief of the prophets, both of those who preceded and those who followed him. He could speak with God the way I'm speaking with you. He didn't speak in a dream. He didn't have visions. It could happen anytime. And yet God gives Moses a terrible time later on in the book. And I'm sure you're familiar with those stories too. But for now, hold out the matzah and the chrein, the horseradish, because they start the parsha with the 4 expressions of redemption, okay? And I'm very grateful to my 8th grade rabbi, Rabbi Reifman, who cold-shouldered me when I told him I wasn't going to be Orthodox anymore, or an Orthodox rabbi either. Right there on the corner of Essex Street and Grand. It was very strange in the old neighborhood. But he did teach us to memorize the 4 expressions of redemption. We do them every Pesach. We do them at the Seder. V'hotzeti v'hitzalti v'ga'alti v'lakachti. I took you out of what country? Egypt. I saved you from what evil monarch? V'ga'alti, I redeemed you from what condition? Servitude. Very good. V'lakachti, I took you to me as my people. Okay, great. What's missing? What happens after 40 years in the wilderness? Which could have been a half hour, but Moses had a sense of direction like mine, and he didn't have GPS. The old joke, he refused to roll down the window to ask for directions. Okay? They enter the land of Egypt. At the point where we sit around the Seder, and who doesn't love the Seder? They finally, the 5th promise is, I will take you into the land of Israel. And in a way, we're all still trying to get to the land of Israel. I'm sure that any number of people here have a story of Aliyah or semi-Aliyah or near Aliyah, or things kind of went askew. And in my case, I spent a year in Israel when I was 19 and 20, which is a wonderful time. Really, 19-year-olds are impossible to live with, but they themselves think they're wonderful. And I was really going to make Aliyah, okay? And I went so far as to speak to the head of the English department at Bar Ilan University. And he said to me, Dr. Harold Fish, wonderful man, let him rest in peace, wrote a couple of really big books, Anti-Semitism, Shiloh. He said, you'll have a stronger position if you get your PhD in Chutz La'aretz, in English. And so I went back abroad, back to the land of my fathers and mothers. And I fell in love, once again, with America. We have microwaves. We had really big cars. We had toasters. We had napkins that didn't pull your face off. We had coffee that was coffee. I'm not being critical. I'm sure the Israelis do. How's Israeli coffee these days?
Now it's okay.
Much better.
But then I was there then. Oh.
Yeah, back in those days, it was Bosco. Really.
Bosco was good for me.
Well, the story I tell, and please forgive me if you've heard it before, there were 3 of us in the dorm room at Bar Ilan. There was me and Mark, unusual name, with whom I did not get along. He got there, he took his sleeping bag, he made his bed, put the sleeping bag on top, and for an entire year, he slept in that sleeping bag. It was pretty right. And then there was Zev. Zev was our Israeli roommate. Mark and I were 19. He was 21 and a freshman. We were 19 and juniors. He was there to study biologia. He was very devoted. He was a kibbutznik. He was a former paratrooper, and a few other tough things as well. And I stood there in the room weeks later with my little cup of elite instant coffee and sipped on it gently and wondered aloud, as all of us have done at one point or other, doesn't one talk to oneself? After all, they say, if you talk to yourself, you can be certain at least one intelligent person is listening. And I said, I wonder if this is real coffee. He was doing his homework. He was always doing his homework. He jumped up, threw down his little plastic Japanese pen and said, if you don't like it here, go home, go back to America, we don't need you. So I was being de-Zionisted by this man. Well, it wasn't that comfortable, but we did get along one way or another. So this whole love affair that American Jews have with Israel is something unique. And of course, I've asked this question before. Are you, for the most part, are you Jewish Americans or American Jews? Who's a Jewish American? Who's an American Jew? See, I thought so too. I thought so too. From the moment sitting there in first grade where they showed us those choppy little black and white films showing the Chalutzim wearing the British bloomer shorts and driving tractors and all kinds of things. I really thought when I landed they were going to meet me with a tractor. It didn't happen. I found out I always thought I was an American Jew. I'm not. I'm a Jewish American. You see? Because Americans are different. Americans are different from any other culture. And we share that culture. But anyway, this is not the great Zionist lecture. So God says, you're going to take my people out of Egypt. And what does Moses do? Does he say, where do I sign up? He says, yeah. He says, come on, man. He says, I can't speak. I stammer. I'm an escaped murderer. Who are you anyway? Which I think everybody should ask at some point or other. Who is this mysterious God? And mind you, this is the God of the Chumash. This is the God of the 5 books. He's not the universal God yet. That's not going to happen until Isaiah and Jeremiah. Right now, he's the Israelite God. He's tribal. And the Moabites have their God. The Egyptians have several gods, and so on and so forth. But God gives Moses a sneak preview. He says, I'm going to meet you people at Mount Sinai. Where is Mount Sinai? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. There could be a dozen different mountains claiming to be Mount Sinai. But what is significant about the Mount Sinai, usually accepted in tradition, it's a very Jewish mountain. There's a monastery at the bottom and a guest house. It's the monastery of Santa Caterina. You don't daven there. You pray there. You bet you pray there. And the monks, over the centuries, because they had no cable, because they had no Scrabble, carved steps into the mountain. So you can go dancing up and dancing down. It's a very Jewish mountain. No hiking axes, no pitons, nothing like that. All right. So, sorry. Okay. Moses and Aaron go before Pharaoh, and in the bulletin you will see, because this is what I do. The entire Chumash, this part of Shemot, is told from the perspective of God, Moses, Aaron. What I did was, I did the perspective of Ramses II and also one of the magicians, the fellas who take on Aaron with his famous rod. So, Moses, I have them crash into the throne room. They're not exactly welcome guests. And they say in the name of God, say et ami, shlach et ami. We always say, now listen, King Pharaoh. I came to tell you to let my people go. They want to go away. They work too hard all day.
Wait, Pharaoh.
What do you say? No. Come on, everybody. No. I will not let them go. There's at least one Jewish composer who said, how come the Christians have these wonderful songs in 6-part harmony and the Jews are doing Barney the dinosaur on Passover?
But the Jews wrote all the Christmas carols.
Yes, we did. But you know, Al, a few years ago, I tried singing the Christmas carols at the Passover Seder. It didn't go over very well. Okay. But I did get a stocking. Okay. All right. Aaron's staff turns into a snake, swallows the magic sticks of the Hartumei Mitzrayim. I love that. Don't just be a magician. Anybody could be David Copperfield. Oh, yeah, right. But Khartoum. It sounds like Khartoum. What is that the capital of? Sudan? Did I move it? Yes? Okay. All right, here come the plagues. There is a book called Exodus, the True Story. It is written by a maniac named Ian Wilson. I've said this before, forgive me. If somebody is insane in America, we give them treatment. If somebody is insane in England, they give them an academic appointment and went up in Cambridge or Oxford. Well, Professor Wilson wound up there, and he came up with an idea. How do you explain the plagues? Come on, explain to me a plague. Blood, where'd it come from? One of those red buses overturned in the night. No. Okay. He starts out by saying there was a volcanic eruption. Now, many of us are familiar with the one that took place in Krakatoa, east of Java, which is not even true. It was west of Java. But prior to the great Krakatoa volcanic eruption, there was all kinds of activity in the jungle, these enormous bugs. And hey, we live in Florida. We know enormous bugs. Okay? All right. They're not, I'm sorry. They're not palmetto bugs. They're cockroaches. In Israel, they call them jukim. So Nissan took that name and made it into a car. The juke. Well, Wilson says there was a volcanic eruption on the Greek island of Santorini, and this led to all of the plagues. What was the blood? The blood was some sort of pollution, some sort of red microorganism that multiplied. If the water is no good, where do the froggies go? Out. Out, right, okay. And let's see, Keenan, lice. If the frogs die, what happens to their bodies? They're attacked by bugs. Arov. Now, Arov is my favorite, because nobody knows what it means. It means mixture. Is it lions and tigers and bears? Oh, come on, you can do better. Lions and tigers and bears. Okay. I think you folks are the last generation to remember that. You know, my kids in class didn't even know in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean. They didn't know. They absolutely didn't know. They could tell you what Beyonce was singing, all right, which I have no idea. Okay, so the Arov, what was it? It was either a mixture of lions and tigers and bears, oh my, roaming the streets of Thebes, which was the Egyptian capital, or it was swarms of flies, which is not as exciting. It's certainly prosaic, and it's pretty much icky. Okay, Titzach Hadash Biachav. Adash. Arov, we did that. Adash Dever. Okay, if you're being stung by insects, what's going to happen to the cows? They die, yes. I know all about cows. Growing up in New York City, I'm very familiar with poultry, livestock, mostly the cow that I saw on the end of my fork. But, okay, let's see. Adash, that's Dever. Shchin. Shchin is boils. Do you ever, this doesn't happen to adults, I hope. But you wake up in the morning and you're 14 years old and you're going to the dance and you have this monstrous zit which seems to have taken over half your face. That's exactly what happens here. The Egyptians are up all night. They're not getting any rest. They have to cope with frogs dying in the apartment. It's really pretty bad. You don't want a condo full of frogs, not for the rent that you're paying. And after that, okay, so we did the pestilence and boils. Have to have boils. And then, okay, this is very fascinating. Hail, barat. What was significant about the hail is that in the text it says, and there was very heavy hail, which is not unusual in Egypt. They're an agricultural nation. And there is fire flashing up amidst the hail. What was the fire flashing up? Thunderstorms?
Lightning?
Lightning, yes. That would be pshat. That's the simple meaning. But Rashi, God bless him, you got to love Rashi. 11th century. Yes. Yeah. He has a midrash, he has an agadah, he has a legend for you. God wanted to punish the Egyptians so badly that he caused there to be peace between fire and water. So every hailstone that fell had a little spark of fire inside of it. You really have to go to China for these things. And it hit the Egyptians, the hail hurt them like broken glass, and the fire burned them. So take that, you Egyptians. When my first full-time pulpit was in Fayetteville, North Carolina, there were 35 kids in the religious school. And one day, there was a hailstorm in the area. It was like being in a boiler factory, with all the hailstones pummeling the roof of the temple. And when it was done, the kids said, come on, Rabbi, let's go out and see. You've never seen hail before. It was like broken glass all over the ground. Who's seen a hailstorm? Yeah. Okay? And for weeks and months... Yes. Very different down south. Yes, for weeks and months afterward, the car dealers were having hail-damaged sales because it would crack a windshield. You don't want to be in that. Okay, so after that, fire and ice, and we're not quite at the end yet. That's the climax. But the heart of Pharaoh was hardened. We talked about that last week, that Pharaoh, when he died, took a plane ride. They took him to France. They cleaned out all of the arteriosclerosis from his heart. That was the real hardening of the heart. But who is hardening the heart of whom? Is Pharaoh in command of his feelings anymore? Or is God? And if so, what happened to Pharaoh's free will? You see? So it continues to be a philosophical issue. Thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. I'll hand the reins over to the cantor. How long did I go? 10, 12 minutes. That's very nice. 12 minutes is good. 12 for the... It's a nice number. Yes.
1 and 2 and 3, 40 cents.
Yes.
You're very good about 40 cents in donation.
Okay.
40 cents in donation.
Go back to the list of the tefillah here on page number 28. Let's read together the first paragraph in English.
Praised are you, Adonai our God, who rules the universe. Your word bringing the evening dusk. You open with wisdom the gates of dawn. Design the day with wondrous skill. Set out the succession of seasons, and arrange the stars in the sky according to your will. Adonai Sabaoth, you create day and night, ruling darkness away from light. Eternal God, your sovereignty shall forever embrace us. Praised are you, Adonai, for each evening such. Ma'avir yom bin layla, ma'avir ben yom bin layla, Adonai Tzebaot Shema, El Chai v'Kayam Tamid Yimlach Aleinu Le'Lamed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Amari v'Ravi. Avat Olam Beit Yisrael, Avat Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, v'shofteinu v'tumeinu, nasiach lechukecha, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך, לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, לאורך ימינו. ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen. Shema silently until the middle of the page 31. נאמר תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם We are now in the middle of the page 32 and we are going to sing Mi Kamocha with power. לא ביד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גד ישראל. We're on page number 33. We are going to sing the first part of this paragraph in Hebrew, the Ashkiveinu. Then we are going to read in English to say the bracha for the Cholim, and then we are going to finish this paragraph after that.
Shivinu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom Ve'amideinu Malkeinu Lechayim Uberos Aleinu Sukkot Shalom Lecha ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו למען שמך והגן בעדנו ושמור צאתנו בואי לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם.
Let's read together in English the paragraph, the first paragraph on page number 33.
Yes, I do want to thank Chazanit Sarah, Kadja Sarah, for a very, very moving Hashkivenu. That was really lovely. Where one not only sings the words but caresses them and has a full understanding of what one is saying and to whom that person is saying it. So Yashikar, really. I'll bet you do a dynamite Kol Nidre too. But not
Not tonight.
Okay. All right, to become more solemn, I want to say that this is the point of the service where the Minhag HaMakom, that is the area custom, is to go around. And if there is someone you know in need of Refu'ahShelemah, a quick and speedy recovery, Jewish, Gentile, friend, relative, anyone at all, you please mention their name. I do want to start, it is a sad thing indeed, but the 34, I want to wish Refu'ahShelemah a quick and speedy recovery to our brave troops, the 34 troops who were caught in the Iranian missile attack on one of our military bases. And we wish them Refu'ahShelemah. They are suffering, several of them, from traumatic brain injury, which is not an easy thing. Yes, anyone not well? Refu'ahShelemah. Yes. Yes. Refu'ahShelemah. Yes. Okay. Yes, Refu'ahShelemah. Yes. Morty.
Andy Wexler,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Robert Hiller,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Mark Baker,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Anthony Virginia.
Refu'ahShelemah. Thank you. Yes.
Dan Hershkowitz,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Bob Walsh,
Refu'ahShelemah.
and Maria Goffin.
Refu'ahShelemah. Yes.
Sherry Rice, Tom Powers, and Laura Buckman.
Refu'ahShelemah. Yes.
David Lemon.
Refu'ahShelemah. Okay. All right. Well, are we getting there? Yes. First, Laura. Yes.
Robert, Marla, and Kathy Rothstein.
Refu'ahShelemah. Okay. Yes.
Howard Shulman.
Refu'ahShelemah. And Howard E. Lackman. Refu'ahShelemah. Yes, Chuck.
Clifford Taylor.
Refu'ahShelemah. Steve.
Doug.
Refu'ahShelemah. Okay. Yes.
Laurie Bland.
Refu'ahShelemah. Okay.
Bruce Martin,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Carol Custer,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Sheila Diamond.
Refu'ahShelemah. All right, as always, we pray for the welfare and health of our brothers and sisters in the embattled state of Israel. And at this time, we're going to read the English paragraph, after which the cantor will sing the last 4 lines at the box. Reading together. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace, and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all his people, Israel, and over Jerusalem and the entire world.
Pros aleinu sukkah shlomecha. Pros aleinu sukkah shlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai, aporech sukkah shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen. Please rise. Page 34.
Bnei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, na'asot et ha-Shabbat, b'torah b'mizolah, v'shamru bnei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, b'torah b'mizolah. Amen. Alma diberachi rutei v'yamlich machutei b'chai b'chol yom b'chol u'mayit b'chol beit Yisrael b'agala b'agala u'bizman karim v'yimru
All right, the Amidah is 35b, the egalitarian one. And it concludes on page 38, after which you may be seated.
While we are reading silently the Amidah, Cantor Sarah is going to bring us to the mood of meditation during the Amidah with some.
No.
Shalom B'Rama. Uyase Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel V'imru Amen.
Page number 48, Kaddish Shalem.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמך הרבה, וילמד יברכרותיך וימליך מלכותיך בחייכון ובמיכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו אמן. וישרי רבה מברך, יומם רב וימלכה, יתברך וישתבח ויבעל בתרומה ויתנשא ויתדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקודשה. בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשוקתה ונחמתה דמירן מימה וימרו אמן. תתקבע תלתון ובתון בכל ישראל קודם ובהון ולשמיה וימרו אמן. יש לומר רבה מן שמיית חיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו אמן. עושה שלום במרמה ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו
So it comes the moment to sanctify the time of the Shabbat with the wine.
Please rise.
It's all grape juice.
It's the grape.
It could be wine if you left it out.
It's happiness and it's happiness. It just takes a little bit of
all
time
grape
to
juice.
make the alcohol.
Juice. It's all juice.
Okay.
It's all juice. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
Wait. I'll be back.
No.
Okay.
It's
We are.
grape juice. It's all grape juice.
It's all the same.
There is no wine.
We do have scotch.
It's grape juice.
While we are
you.
giving to you whoever wants the grape juice, but is acceptable to do the kiddush, we are going to do the kiddush. Yes, they want.
Thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei b'riah daber. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית. תהילה לגוי קודש,
ספר לציון.
This is the choir we have every Shabbat. What do you miss? Being in a fasting area. Page number 51. I'm going to invite Sharon and Mark to open to open the ark. We need somebody to open the ark.
And God, he said,
Aleinu
Shameach Vadon Hakol, Gdula Yatzeh Bereshit, Shelo Zayim Ratzah, Velo Samanu, Adama, Shelo Samanu Gahem, Begor Aleinu.
The ark is closed. Thank you so much. The mourner's Kaddish.
There's like an extra sentence.
All right. Cantor reminds me that Israel had a very large celebration. I had an article for the current events group. I don't know if we got to it. 75th anniversary of liberation of the concentration camps. They had a special ceremony at Yad Vashem, the Israel Holocaust Center. There were several dignitaries from different countries, and I think for that reason, I'm going to ask you all to please rise for the mourners Kaddish in memory of our lost brothers and sisters and the million children.
Amen.
Yalmad Yivrach Yerusei V'Yamlich Machusei V'chayei Chon V'Yimei Chon V'chayei T'chol Beit Yisrael Ha'Galah Uzman Kariv Yimru Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbam V'Orach V'Yalam V'Me'amayim Yitbarach Yishbach V'Yitzpar V'Yitzromam V'Yiznaseh V'Yitzadar V'Yitzaleh V'Yitzalal Shemei Yedusha B'Riyavu Elam and Kol Birchasa V'Shirata Tushvata V'Nechamata Damiran V'Yama V'Yimru Amen Yehei Shlomo Rabba V'Shemaya Chayim Aleinu V'Yal Kol Yisrael V'Yimru Amen Oseh Shalom B'Mamav Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Yal Kol Yisrael V'Yal Kol Yisrael V'Yimru Please be seated before Cantor, and Cantor lead us in the Adon Olam on 54. Few well-chosen words by our wonderful Cantor.
A good Shabbos to everyone. How wonderful that our little chapel is so full, and what a blessing it is to have you here. For Cantor Sarah, what can I say? Your voice is so sweet, and just as Rabbi said, you brought the meaning to the words. You really are so not only wonderful, you're a sweetheart as well with a gorgeous voice. Thank you for gracing our Shabbat service. I want to. You are still working. You still
Keep a low profile.
I want to also say to all of you here that Cantor Sarah's parents, Rachel and Mel, are new members of Temple Shalom. So welcome, welcome, welcome. For all of you who haven't been here before, who I don't know, but I hope to meet afterwards, thank you for being with us. I look forward to having a personal chat with you at our coffee and cake, which is mandatory. We must have coffee and cake. Tomorrow is our more traditional service, which begins at 9:30. After which Rabbi has his class, which will be on
Carl Jung and the 12 character archetypes. We're going to apply them to ourselves as Jews, human beings. Should be pretty juicy.
Yeah. It's a juicy class, so don't miss it. Rabbi does juicy classes. He also has his classes on Wednesday afternoon, adult Hebrew class at 4:30, current events class at 7 o'clock. Our wonderful cantor, who will be employed here forever, conducts our morning minyan, 8:45 Mondays and Thursdays. Please come and be with us, because we are so fortunate to be able to continue this tradition when so many synagogues have lost it. So we need your help, and it's a wonderful way to begin the day. And Cantor Javier is an amazing teacher as well, so we all come away learning a lot from the morning minions. Monday morning at 10:30, our Laura Durant is conducting her Aging Gracefully group. I'm sorry, 10:30.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Excuse me again. Aging Gracefully, 10 o'clock Monday morning, because nobody wants to age ungracefully. So it's imperative that you come and join. We have a very lively group, and Laura conducts it in just the most amazing way. When you go for coffee, you're going to see tables are set up in an unusual way on the dance floor, because this Sunday we are in concert with Federation doing a food drive. It's called Food for the Soul. We are packing food for families that need our help. And it's called Mitzvah Day as well. We have a lot of volunteers coming, but if you would like to join us, it's at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. It's an hour and a half of food packing, but it's what we need to do for our fellow human beings. Because if we don't love each other and help each other, what's the point, really? I send you all love from St. Martin's Episcopal Church, who invited me to attend their dedication ceremony in their new home. And they invited myself and Paul to come and represent Temple Shalom. They have us in their hearts and in their prayers for health, peace, and well-being and happiness, as we have them in ours. Next Saturday, we are celebrating the 100th birthday of our beloved Rhoda Silverman. You are all invited. It's going to be just beautiful for a very, very special lady, a real lady. So, and you at home, come celebrate with us anytime you can. Our doors are open. I say the same thing to you every week, but I want to repeat it. Our doors are open. Our hearts are open to you as well. Check the bulletin, check the website. There are a lot of wonderful things coming up. And just be with us. And thank you for being here tonight.
Talking about Rhoda's birthday, just to let you know, everybody wants to give her a present. She has everything. She has health. She's mentally great. She has a good humor. So she asked just to do, instead of a present, to make a donation for the shul.
Yeah.
And I mean, $1 per year. I think that I
Sounds
made
good.
2 fundraising today. One that is for 15 minutes less than I got today. Say to Harvey that I am doing great here. Okay. Just for you to know, on February 6th, I am going to start on Thursday after Minyan, like 10:15ish, yes. A group of study of the Parashat Shavua. It's not going to be a class. You are going to have to bring material. I am going to give you material. You are going to read it. We are going to analyze. I am going to guide you. It's not a class like a formal class. And one Shabbat a month, I think, we are going to start like in the second Shabbat, second or third. You're gonna know it next week. Shabbat of in the morning before the service. So this is for the ones that they wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning. Yes, we do this kind of thing. Yes. So at 8:45 for 30 minutes, 8:45 to 9:45 to 9:15 before the service. We're going to meet here and we are going to have a kind of pre-Shabbat workout meditation for the service that is going to start at 9:30. So we are going to have to come at 9:45. Whenever 8:45, this is what I say. I just wanted to know if you are listening to me. And then we are going to have our pre-Shabbat meditation workout. Yeah, and then the service once a month. Let's try with that. Okay, Sarah. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to share with you the Bima. I didn't know you before, and you are welcome to come here as many times as you want to escape from the winter and in the Boston area. And because your mother, Rachel, today is her birthday. She's going to come with us to sing the Adon Olam, this is, and to sing the Adon Olam, and just after the Adon Olam, and with your permission, I am going to change a little bit, and instead of doing today the bracha, the Birkat Kohanim, we are going to close with a beautiful melody based that they put on the Ve'isheamda. Ve'isheamda is part of the Agadah that says Ve'isheamda Raboteinu, and the promise who put God, yes, to our Aboteinu, and the promise is that in every generation, every enemies that they will arise to destroy us, and the Holy One of blessing will save us from the enemies. And we're going to be here. And I think that this weekend that we are commemorating the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration camp is a way to honor all of them that survived, and the others that they didn't during the Holocaust. So Adon Olam and then the Asian. Rachel, come here. It's your birthday.
I also just want to thank Cantor Javier
Thank you so much.
and the rabbi and all of you for opening your hearts to us, to my parents, and to me and Ilan, and for sharing the Bima with me. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. So Adon Olam, the birthday girl, pick the music. Okay. Okay.
Adon Olam, Hashem Olam, B'Terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, V'Yetzatzah V'Chefzo Kol, Azay Melech Shemo Nikra, Azay Melech Shemo Nikra, V'Yacharei Kivod HaKol, Levato Yimol Torah, Ve'hu Haya, Ve'hu Haober, Ve'hu Yiyeh B'Tifarav, Ve'hu Yiyeh B'Tifarav, Ve'hu Echad B'Yei Sheni, Ve'ham Shilo, Ve'rach Mira, Ve'Mireshit, Ve'Mitachlit, Ve'lo Ha'oz, Ve'Ham Yisra, Ve'lo Ha'oz, Ve'Ham Yisra, Ve'hu Eli, Ve'chayet Arvari, Ve'tzur Chepli, V'yei Tzara, Ve'hu Nisi, U'Manasli, Menat Kosi, Ve'yom Ekra, Menat Kosi, Ve'yom Ekra, Ve'yato Aki Yiluchi, Ve'yitisha, Ve'ayira, Ve'yimruchi, Geviati, Adonai li, Ve'lo ira, Adonai li, Ve'lo ira.
Ve'yishe'amda lavoteinu, Ve'yishe'amda lavoteinu velanu, Shelo echad bilvad, Amad aleinu lechalotenu, Amad aleinu lechalotenu. Ve'yishe'amda lavoteinu, Ve'yishe'amda lavoteinu velanu, Shelo echad bilvad, Amad aleinu lechalotenu, Amad aleinu lechalotenu. Ve'akadosh Baruch Hu matzilenu, matzilenu miyadam. Ve'akadosh Baruch Hu matzilenu, matzilenu miyadam. Ve'yishe'amda lavoteinu, Ve'yishe'amda lavoteinu velanu, Shelo echad bilvad, Amad aleinu lechalotenu, Amad aleinu lechalotenu.
Slow down.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha,
The Lord bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka,
The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
The Lord turn his face unto you and grant you peace. Shabbat shalom with Shabbat
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat.